We've heard horror stories from domestic abuse victims. Now, for the first time, we hear from an abuser.
A local man who's turned his life around is now sharing his story to help others. Here's Courtny Gerrish.
Mike and Carol, in the process of researching this story, we learned those who abuse are often products of violence themselves. And that abusive mindset is around for generations. Tonight, a look at how to combat it from an abuser himself. This Milwaukee man knows he hasn't always been a good person.
You just want to have the upper hand, you want to have the louder voice, you want to have the harder hit.
A man thankful he got help when he did, especially when he sees cases like the Azana Spa shooting, where domestic violence led a husband to murder his estranged wife and 2 others.
To think that that could have been me if had I not sought the help I needed.
He's sharing his story, hoping to help stop the violence.
Sit down.
Chad values the time he spends at Beyond Abuse, a group therapy program offered by the Sojourner Family Peace Center.
And you'll learn that changing is good. It really is nice.
A lot has changed for Chad the past couple years after being charged with domestic violence and forced to go to jail.
When he came here, it was clear that he was ready for change and was making changes, which is always good.
Chad was caught in a web of domestic violence since childhood, watching his own father.
Lots of screaming, lots of yelling. I've seen police take my dad.
Behavior that Chad carried into his own adulthood.
You don't have people there teaching you how to properly address your anger. I knew I had to get help, otherwise, because I knew what was wrong, but I didn't know what was right.
Chad and his ex-girlfriend lived together for years. Most of those years were volatile.
She tried to stab me multiple times. She'd attack me in my sleep. I would get mad, I would slap her, you know.
The abuse was multi-layered.
A lot of name calling, financial abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse.
Both of you? Or
correct.
Chad admits he didn't know the true meaning of love.
You don't be mean to someone you love. You don't treat someone you love like that.
It was the couple's daughter and an incident involving Chad getting arrested at her school that made him finally realize he had to change his life.
After seeing my daughter, seeing her react and recalling that that's the same way I react when I heard certain situations, I knew exactly what she was feeling when I saw that, and I knew that that's wrong.
Okay, so it would be Friday evenings.
Benny Higgins works with many men like Chad.
Well, most of them do want to change.
He says it needs to start with men changing their mindset about relationships.
We grow up learning how to be quote-unquote strong men, which sometimes can get in the way of an intimate relationship.
Higgins is also a former police officer and has seen domestic violence span the city of Milwaukee.
It's really all our issue.
He believes it helps for men like Chad to get together with each other and talk.
Men get to do what they didn't do growing up, and that is have real, honest, non-threatening conversations.
Chad has also learned how to handle his anger in non-threatening ways.
It's always nice to find somewhere to relax. Yeah, it's nice to just sit, get away.
It is a constant battle overcoming his past, but he's trying to remain positive as a role model and father to his little girl.
Well, I feel I'm in a great place. Yeah, I'm proud of myself. I'm doing the best I can to provide for my daughter and for myself.
And it's not just men who abuse. Women can also fall into a path of domestic violence. So Beyond Abuse, that therapy program we showed you, for anyone who wants to stop the cycle of abuse, we have a link to that at TMJ4.com.
And you make a good point. If someone has grown up in that environment and they've seen that in their own family, it is what they know.
And it's hard to break a cycle if you don't know how.
Thank you, Courtney.